Okay guys, so it's very, very windy outside. There's literally a window, and a bit of a live time lapse going on with the wind. Looking into the distance there, you can see the trees moving around. Shooting the Rx10 Mark IV. I'm shooting at a quarter of a second, f4 ISO 1000 on video. So you're kind of getting a time lapse going on. You can see the stuff moving around. It is getting bad though. Woo. You can see this if I just move it slightly. You can see it is bonkers. Absolutely crazy. But yeah, you can see here, like, I don't know if you can even hear after like voiceover possibly, but it's absolutely ridiculous. Move left slightly, you can see even more trees going crazy. Oh, big lorry. There's a few trees down already. I think a lorry got hit by a tree not far down the road. Obviously, hopefully the driver's okay. I think that's blocked the main road. But yeah, you can see it's crazy. I'm using an ND filter, by the way, a 10 stop ND filter. That's why we can get down to f4 and a quarter of a second at ISO 1000. Obviously, if I drop the ISO a little bit, obviously we're going to get a little bit darker. But on video, I can't go any lower than a quarter of a second. And obviously, with the 10 stop on, I was just doing some long exposures just to get the movement of the trees against static buildings and things, and chimney pots and things like that. But if we crank it back up to sort of ISO 800 or 1000, it's not too bad. But I can obviously speed up the shutter speed. As you can see there, it suddenly gets a lot smoother, and then at the ideal sort of frame rate, it's not too bad. But now I'm up to ISO 4000 on video. As you can see there, it's pretty nuts, and it's only going to get worse apparently for the next 3 or 4 hours. Got no power, hence why I'm playing with the camera. So it's always well worth having your camera charged up, or at least a battery charged up, so you can have a play if you've got no power. There's still some idiots out with dogs, walking their dogs, which is ridiculous. There's bits of tree branch falling down all over the place, and you don't want to get hit by one of those. So if you've got a dog, don't take it for a walk. It doesn't necessarily need one every day. It can wait, obviously, for a bit. Anyway, I'm going to see what else I can capture and see what else looks like it's starting to rain. Might do some of the clouds going past, because they are shifting big time. Big time. It's going from west to east, so it's pretty mad. I'm just going to crank the ISO. No sun. The sun keeps coming out and going, so we're at ISO 6400 now. Probably looks pretty bad, I'm not sure. But yeah, it's pretty nuts. So here's a couple of photos, as you can see there, with the motion blur of all the bushes and trees flapping around, even the TV aerial as well. That's about a 5 or 6 second exposure on that one. This one here, the old sort of church building, you can see all the bushes and trees and stuff moving around there again. Similar sort of situation with the 10 stop filter on. Windy. So at the moment I'm at f4 ISO 2000 at 1/25th of a second, but if I stop this down to a bit more of a time-lapsey feel, quarter of a second, and drop the ISO to about 1000, it's just bizarre, because you can see the blur, the motion blur, how much stuff's moving so quickly, but it just shows you in the time-lapse style a little bit of video. That's crazy up there. There's a little bit of blue sky behind. Obviously, if I speed up the shutter speed now, we get a bit more of a smooth feel to it. I quite like that. Kind of feel of it. It just looks like it's being possessed or something. You can see all the motion blur. It's hilarious. So, just thought I'd show you. It's just experimentation. I mean, I've only got a 10 stop filter now, but I need to buy a 4 stop as well, probably, or I might get a variable. But the problem with variable, with stills, they just don't seem to give the same quality as a fixed ND filter. So I think I might buy a variable for video, which allows me quite a nice bit of control. But you know, buying, it's moving like mad. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Yeah, I might buy just a couple of new ones. I need to also buy some for the A1 as well. I've got one lens which is the same fitment as this, the Rx10, which is handy, which means I can use them on there, but other than that I don't, so I need to buy a couple of them as well. This one's made by Pig Iron, and it's an ND1000. That's what I'm using at the moment. It's not very expensive, but it still works very well. So here, I'm going to go back to doing some stills and see what I can capture. It is really cool what we can do with these cameras nowadays, and even something simple like this to give you an idea of how windy it really is, but in a more of a slow motion kind of feel. Just really works quite well. I really quite enjoy messing around. Shots like this where I actually went too long, that was about 15 seconds I think on an exposure, but obviously having that 10 stop ND filter, it allowed me to, you know, slow the light coming down into the camera. This shot I prefer because you can see more of the tree. Same sort of thing, it's actually a little bit less, it's probably about 8 seconds or thereabouts, so it worked quite well. So at the moment I'm at ISO 200, so I'll rotate the camera slightly. ISO 200, f2.4, I'm at 24mm, but I'm at 1/500th of a second, which obviously we can slow that down a little bit. We're going to zoom in, see the fire. The fire's not really doing much of it, it's mostly embers and a little bit of flame. So I'm going to set the camera up a little bit of a longer, that's 1/4 of a second. As you can see there, it can add quite an interesting look to the video. It's almost like a time lapse. And you know, it's a bit like the video clips as well of the trees moving in the wind. So now we've got 1/4 of a second per frame. So yeah, it looks pretty cool. As you see, little bits, sparks flying up and stuff like that. But obviously we can speed that up slightly to 1/5 of a second, 6th, 8th, 10th, 13th, 15th, 20th, and 1/25th is what the camera's set at. So I'm at ISO 1000, so if we crank up even more to 2000, I go to 1/50th of a second, and it should get some really nice smooth video. I'm actually going to try and not knock the camera over because I can't see the tripod. But let's get the poker thing. We can get a bit of more colour and a bit more light going on. Hopefully get a bit more flames on the go. There we go. So at the moment that's obviously what we're dealing with. Yeah, a little bit more light now, a bit of warmth as well. So yeah, very, very cold. At night time you suddenly appreciate living in a warm house and having a good lifestyle, basically. Yeah, it makes you think about people who are homeless and things like that. So now I'm at ISO 2000, I'm going to drop that down because now we've got lots of flame. So I'm actually back down to ISO 100 now. There's that much more light. So f3.5, and we've got a nice looking flame there. So I'm going to swap over to HFR and do a little bit of slow motion video as well. Probably 500 frames per second and 250. I'm going to take some long exposures with some stills. See some basically big flames it'll make it look like. It's quite interesting as well. But obviously just experiment. This is the best way of with photography. I mean, ideally I want to move the camera sort of pretty straight on central to the grate itself, and then hopefully we can get some cool shots. Anyway, I'm going to swap over to the HFR and you'll see those in the thing, and I'll be talking about them once I've done. So obviously once it got dark, the only light I had was my LEDs, but also a fire, and I thought, do you know what, got some battery life. Let's do some HFR. So 250 and 500 frames per second on some of these clips, and it works really quite well. You know, you're just messing around trying to get that bit, and you don't really know what's going to happen with the flames because they just do their own thing. There's, you know, there's air drafts being pushed down the chimney and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, it's just messing around. I generally shoot HFR on end half. So in the settings, I have a quality, so it's better quality. End half, which gives me about 3.5 seconds, either 250, 500, or 1,000 frames per second. I don't generally use 1,000 because the quality is pretty horrendous unless I'm really close to something and I've got tons of light. So 500 does look quite cool, and it just looks fire just moving in slow motion just looks insane. It just looks lovely. It's sort of enticing, you know. You know, touch it. No, it's going to burn you, so don't touch it. But yeah, just messing around. And then with end half, and I've done videos about HFR before, you basically set your camera up, set up the focusing, set your exposure, push the middle button, and it basically locks that clip, and it just loops through its memory. And then once you've seen what you want to see, you just push record, and it's as simple as that. So you wait until you've seen what you want to see, and then you push record. And that's the way I generally use it. You can push start, and it will just record if you do a start-stop kind of thing. But I don't generally use that. I just find it easier just to have it looping, so I can sit there and watch it and go, actually that was really cool, and then push record. Obviously you can't do anything while it's buffering to the card, but you know, it is what it is. But it's an awesome bit of kit, and I wish they'd stick these in the higher end cameras as well. It would be amazing if we could. But yeah, just messing around, playing, experimenting, which is what is good for us. You know, we need to experiment because it improves our skills, you know, and the knowledge of the camera you're using. So it's not just the photography skills, it's where the buttons are. I couldn't see the camera, it was dark. So me learning where all the buttons and features are and stuff like that really made a difference. There we go. But yeah, so nice and cosy by the fire. Rx10 doing its thing. So I'm just recording at 1/5 of a second at the minute, just because I think it's quite cool. Obviously you can speed it up a little bit, so it's a bit more realistic in smoothness, and then crank up the ISO to 400 for a relatively good exposure from the shadows to the highlights when the flames get a little bit bigger. As you can see there, it lights the top of the log a little bit. So just messing around, experimenting, got nothing else better to do because I've got no power. So if you end up in this situation, that's why I always make sure I have camera batteries charged, or at least half charged, ready to go, so I can literally just grab the camera of choice. This has now got 38% left, but I managed to shoot from 100% yesterday, doing some long exposures and stuff with an ND filter on out the window, to obviously now, this evening, just doing stuff like this. So just having a little play really. So good bit of fun, and once I can edit them, get them up on YouTube or whatever, just be interesting to show people what you can do in certain situations. You know, so it's all good. It's just making the most of something that's obviously not good. Yeah, many trees down, covering I don't know how far. I think it was 225,000 properties with no power. So there's quite a lot of people in having issues with no electricity, no heating, no nothing. So yeah, definitely good just to go back to bed and stay snugly warm in your bed. That's what I did this morning. I just went back to bed after a little while and just snuggled up and just had a bit of a nap. Not much else you can do. The rain came as well, so it chucked it down with rain quite heavily, and now we're just waiting to see what happens next. And it's showing tomorrow evening, so it's 3 full days with no power. I mean, for me it's not that much of a problem. I'm pretty acclimatised to cold and stuff like that, but it just stops you doing things you want to do. I can't do any editing really, can't use the internet very well because we've only got one mast here, I think, and everyone is trying to log on to Facebook and Instagram to try and all the power website to find out what's going on, and mobile phones aren't working particularly well. I've got the car, I can take that for a drive just to charge phones back up and stuff to make sure I've got some kind of communication. But you know, it's just one of those things. But I'm just embracing it. It's not good in any means, because businesses are losing money, produce and stuff's going off, and there's all these, you know, major knock-on effects, which obviously isn't good. So if you ever end up in this situation, obviously make sure you go and support local people, businesses and stuff when you can, and helping neighbours. If you've got an old neighbour or anything like that, give them a knock on the door, make sure they're okay, and you know, just make sure everyone's cool, and if they've got something or need anything, maybe if you're going to the shops or something, maybe buy them some stuff to, you know, help them out. So yeah, anyway, that's it guys. Don't forget to click the subscribe button, little notification bell as well. I'll see you very soon, hopefully get back out with the camera once I can. Yeah, just a bit of a nightmare weekend really, but hey ho, what do we do? Luckily we've got a nice log fire to stay toasty warm. There we go guys. Oh actually it's a bit rubbish, isn't it? Hang on. Right, so the moon is behind the trees, so you can see there that we have the moon rising right behind a tree at the minute. So once it gets above, I might be able to get a couple of okay shots of the moon. It's a little bit cloudy out there actually, but stars plenty. But a couple of, well, I say clouds, probably the plane trails, you know, the from the jet engines. Vapor trails, whatever you want to call it, they keep appearing occasionally. But I just thought I'd mess around. We can do some trees. A bit more. It just looks quite cool. Just thought I'd have a little experiment. There we go. Well, I say 2000 now for video, but we'll have a mess around it shortly and see what's what. It's nowhere near as cold as it was last night actually, which is good considering I'm stood there with the window open. Ambulance going past. So I reckon another 10-15 minutes it'll be above that tree, the moon, something like that. So I might be able to get a couple of shots. So I've only got 28% left, so probably have to cut this short now, just so I've got plenty of battery to capture a couple of bits. There's a plane literally heading this direction, and just in line with the moon but to the right, so unfortunately we're not going to get it, but it could be quite a good shortly if once it moves over to the right slightly and above the tree. Should be quite good. Anyway, I'm going to cut it short and then I'll be back with some photos. So moonshot here, it was quite cool, but quite a bit of lens flare actually, sort of top left middle. You can see a little bit of lens flaring there, which is a little bit annoying. Well guys, turns out that we're not getting much power till Tuesday possibly, so that's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, so another 3 days possibly. So yeah, luckily I've got one camera that's got a pretty charged battery I think. Obviously if I can charge in the car, give it a bit of a boost if I need to, but yeah, can't really do much, which is a little bit annoying. So anyway, the dot in the sky is actually the moon, which I totally missed by the looks of things. That should be, there she blows. So that's at 600 millimeters. There we go. And if you go into the settings, but you have to make sure you're in JPEG to activate it. Turn your the zoom from just optical, into clear image zoom. So when you're in video, it means you can basically keep going. So you go up to 2 times again. So for video, it just gives you a little bit extra magnification as such. And for something like the moon, it's perfect. So we're now at 1200 millimeters, f5.6, 1/640th of a second, ISO 100. So yeah. So we're now on 4 times digital zoom, which gives us 2000 something, what would it be, 2400, 2400 millimeter magnification. Not over, I can't, at the moment I can't see this large, so I have no idea what the quality is like. But on the small screen it looks pretty good, but it could be completely rubbish, I don't know yet. But you know, it's worth a little experiment. Never know. So the moon's super bright tonight. So 1/500th of a second, f5.6, ISO 100. I could go slightly darker, 1/800th of a second. He says. I'll get it moving. With that close, you can actually see how quickly it sort of moves across the sky. Pretty mad. So the storm is still around, but it had kind of calmed down a lot, so there's a lot less wind. But a really, really clear night, so the air quality was pretty good. So really nice sharp images of the moon here. This is at 600 millimeters, and then I did a 2 times clear image zoom as well, which is this shot. And then I went, which I've never used before actually until now. I tried out the digital zoom, which gives us up to 2400 millimeters, and actually it's not too bad. It's not as good as clear image zoom, and it's not as good as obviously straight optical in quality, but this is how. So all of these are at 100% by the way, so you can see them as full. It's not bad. Obviously you can get better and better quality cameras, but yeah, not bad really, considering we're looking at 100% by the way, so we're zoomed in to 100%, so it's actually bigger than the screen. So yeah, really, really not bad really. I was quite impressed. So yeah, messing around with the old Rx10 Mark IV with a little bit of battery life whilst bored out of my brain waiting for the power to come back on. I didn't venture out down to the seafront or anything like that. One, because it's quite a long drive, and two, there's trees falling down all over the place. The last thing I want to do is 1, get injured, 2, ruin my car, 3, have emergency services coming out. So I stayed at home, which was fine, and sort of made do really. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the little video. I mean, it's nothing that amazing really. It was just a little documentation of what happened on a day of being stuck at home with no power and a massive storm happening outside. So, but it's a little memory, isn't it? Anyway, don't forget to click the subscribe button like it says, little notification bell as well. Any questions about the Rx10 or the A1 or any of the other Sony cameras out there, feel free to ask, leave some comments below, and there'll be lots more videos coming very, very soon. So yeah, take care.